Hello everyone, wish you all a very happy new year, and here I welcome you to the final and the fourth part of the light series. In this part, we are going to discuss the most important questions along with their solutions. So without any further delay, let's solve this guide. Let's start with the very first question, which is obviously we know that's the definition of light. It's the very easy and very predictable question, so we are not going to discuss the easy and predictable one. So the first question is not the definition of light, but what are the various sources of light and give appropriate examples of them. Now we already know that we have discussed in this video earlier that light has various sources. Light is produced from those sources. So what are the various sources of light? There are two types of source of light. What are they? First one is the natural source of light, or the sources of light that includes sun, any other stars, or those thing like fire, those natural thing that gives us light, that produces light. Secondly, the artificial sources. What are the artificial sources? They are the man-made sources of light. So the answer would be there are two sources of light. Number one, natural source, example sun and the other stars. Number two, artificial source, the man-made electric lights. The second important question in the light chapter is define rectilinear propagation of light. Now, what is rectilinear propagation of light? The answer is we all know that light travels in a straight line path. This path of light is called rectilinear propagation of light. Light always travels in a straight line path. It doesn't go in a curved way, always in a same straight line, and we call that factor as rectilinear propagation of light. Here comes the third question. What are the laws of reflection? As we have already studied about reflection in the light series, if you haven't seen the light series yet, please, the link is given in the description box. There are 3 parts of light. Go ahead and check those videos. Anyway, let's come back. What are the laws of reflection? The answer is there are 2 laws of reflection. The first one, the incident ray, the normal, that is the perpendicular one, and the reflected ray should lie on a same plane, that is at the point of incidence. This is the first law, and the second law is the angle of incidence should always be equal to the angle of reflection. Please subscribe to our channel to get solutions on various topics of physics. Next, the fourth question. What are the factors which are responsible for reflection to take place? The answer is there are 2 factors responsible for reflection of light. The first factor, the angle of incidence. As the angle of incidence has to be equal to the angle of reflection, so if the angle of incidence is greater or smaller, that will affect the angle of reflection as well. So the first factor is the angle of incidence. The second factor is the reflecting surface, that is the plane on which the reflection of light takes place. If that surface is not appropriate for reflection of light to take place, it will occur in either regular reflection or irregular reflection. The details of these are well explained in the first part of the light series. The link is given in the description box below. If this video has been helpful to you, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Here comes the fifth important question. what are the differences between real image and virtual image, or differentiate between a real image and a virtual image. Here I will tell you what the answer is. First, as it's a difference, you have to draw a column and you have to write real image one side and virtual image another side. And this is another tip, my students. For in case of any kind of differentiation for any subject, you always need to draw a column and put each of the following at either sides. So here comes the answer. Real image. The first point under real image would be real images are inverted in nature. On the other hand, the first point on the virtual image would be virtual images are erect in nature. This is completely based on how the type of image will form. The second point under real image. Real images are formed on a separate screen, whereas for the second point on the virtual image, the virtual images appear to be on the lens or mirror itself. Now comes the third and the last point. Real images are formed due to the actual intersection of light rays, whereas the virtual image, the third point would be, virtual images are formed due to the imaginary or virtual intersection of rays. Now we'll come to the examples, which won't consist as a separate point, but you know you always have to give example for anything that is given. Example for real image would be human eye viewing, and the example for virtual image would be the rear view mirrors. So my dear students, here is a challenge for you. Find all those complex questions about light that you're stuck up with and post it in the comment section below. The first 3 comments will get featured in our next video. Here comes the 6th question. What is it? Define lateral inversion. What is lateral inversion? I have already explained very well in the light series, in the first part of the light series, link again given in the description box. So let's come to the answer. Lateral inversion is seeing the thing as upside down, or the left hand appears to be the right hand and the right hand appears to be the left hand. So what will be the answer? The phenomenon of light or reflection due to which the left appears to be the right and the right appears to be the left is called lateral inversion. Question number 7 is, write the differences between concave and convex mirrors. Here is the answer. Under concave mirror, we'll write a spherical mirror whose reflecting surface is curved inwards is called a concave mirror. That's the definition. And under convex mirror, we are going to write a spherical mirror whose reflecting surface is curved outwards is called a convex mirror. In the second point, you can draw the diagram of each as shown in the picture. In the third point, what you can write is, under concave mirror, a parallel beam of light falling on this mirror converges at a point after reflection. Under convex mirror, the third point will be, a parallel beam of light falling on this mirror appears to diverge from a point after reflection. The fourth point, it is also called a converging mirror. This goes under concave mirror. And under convex mirror, the fourth point would be, it is also called a diverging mirror. The fifth point under concave mirror, it has a real focus. The fifth point under convex mirror, it has a virtual focus. The last point, under concave mirror, these mirrors are used as reflectors in projectors, lighthouse headlights, searchlights, etc. Under convex mirror, the last point would be these mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in cars and motorcycles as they enable the driver or the rider to view the road and the vehicles that are behind them. The eighth question. What are the various parts of a shadow? Explain them using suitable diagrams. The answer is there are two distinct separate parts of a shadow and another part that consists of both of them. So let's come to the two distinct parts of the shadow. There are two parts of the shadow. The first part is the umbra part, or the innermost, darkest, blackest part of the shadow is called the umbra, which completely darkens the shadow. And the second part is penumbra. Penumbra is the region of partial darkness. While umbra makes the shadow completely dark and black, penumbra has a partial blackness or partial darkness to the shadow. Here is a diagram to explain both of them. The ninth question is, differentiate between lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. So let's start with the answer. Under lunar eclipse, the first point would be about its meaning. That is, lunar eclipse occurs when the earth appears in between the moon and the sun. Whereas under solar eclipse, the first point would be it occurs when the moon appears in between the sun and the earth. The second point is about their duration. Under lunar eclipse, the second point would be, in this case, the earth shadows the moon totally or partially for 1 hour or more than that. And for solar eclipse, the second point would be, in this case, the moon totally or partially blocks the sunlight for a few minutes. The third point is about the continuance or frequency of both of their occurrence. The third point under lunar eclipse would be lunar eclipse occurs like almost twice a year, whereas the solar eclipse occurs once in every 18 months. The time of occurrence will be the next point. Lunar eclipse occurs during the nights, whereas solar eclipse occurs during the daytime. The next point is about their visibility. Under lunar eclipse, it can be seen in many places, whereas the solar eclipse can be seen only from very few places. The next point is about the day on which both of them occurs. Under lunar eclipse, it occurs on a full moon day, whereas under solar eclipse, it occurs on a new moon day. The types of them is the next category. Under that, lunar eclipse has 3 categories: total lunar eclipse, partial lunar eclipse, and penumbral lunar eclipse, which is not there in the syllabus right now. Whereas under solar eclipse types are total solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, and annular solar eclipse. All the diagrams are also attached so you can see them. The next point is about it is completely safe to see lunar eclipse through naked eye, whereas it is not at all safe, rather unsafe, to see it through naked eye. These are all the differences between lunar and solar eclipse. The last or the final question is some application based questions. Give reasons for the following. The first one, a red cellophane paper or a red tinted glass makes us see everything red in color. Why? The answer is any filament, be a red tinted glass or a red cellophane paper, absorbs all the colors and only allows its own color to pass through it. That's why that color of light is only passed, whereas the rest of the colors of white light are absorbed within that particular filament, and we get to see only red things through it. The second application based question is, sometimes after the rainfall we get to see beautiful rainbow on the sky. Why? Now we already know when white light is passed through a prism, a glass prism, it splits into 7 individual colors of the rainbow, that is the VIBGYOR. Now what happens is, just after the rainfall there are tiny droplets of water in the air or in the cloud which acts as tiny glass prism. When light passes through it, it splits white light into 7 colors, and this is how, with the help of millions of tiny raindrops, we get to see beautiful rainbow across the sky. The third and the final application based question is, how do we get to see all the colors in a TV screen or in a mobile screen or in a computer screen? Here is the answer to it. All screens, the visual screens, have only 3 primary colors filament, that is red, green and blue. But what happens is, there are millions of tiny spots, and each spot is composed of these 3 primary colors. When light passes through it, with the help of electricity, all the 3 primary colors forms various combinations, and we get to see different secondary colors as well.